Board all set?
Yep.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, 2:30. Welcome to the June 11th Board of Assessors meeting. The board consists of 3 public members with various backgrounds involving real estate, and myself. I'm the chairman of the board. I'm also the city assessor, and as the city assessor, I'm a non-voting member. During today's meeting, the board will be reviewing applications submitted to the city, which the applicant is requesting to be exempt from taxes for religious purposes. A copy of all the information submitted with the application has been provided to the board prior to today's meeting in order to give them time to be able to review the materials. Just to clarify for the members of the public in the audience today, this is a public meeting and not a public hearing. So as such, the board will only be hearing from the applicant if they choose to speak in order to provide them an opportunity to address the board concerning the materials they have submitted. The board's decision is final, and written notice will be sent to the property owner by mail. If the applicant is dissatisfied with the board's decision, they may file an appeal with either the Board of Tax and Land Appeals or the Superior Court, but not to both. So the application submitted has been from the Shire Free Church Monadnock. And Ian or Daryl, either of you like to address the board?
Mark Edge is going to address the board.
Okay, please. Just name your name and address, please.
Sure. My name's Mark Edgington. My mailing address is 63 Emerald Street, number 506. I'm a minister of the Shire Free Church, and I also host the nationally syndicated radio program Free Talk Live. I want to be straight and speak to you guys completely, about the board. I want to create a dialogue. The fact is, the activists have been here in town for many years, and the city and the activists have gone head to head. I think that, the questionnaire seems obvious to me. That questionnaire has not been sent to any other church that I know of. When Dan was questioned about it, he said that no other church has gotten a questionnaire like this. And I think it's obvious that the activists are special consideration from the city. And I don't see that that is particularly wrong. There's been a lot of sort of noise made in the past. But what my goal is to create a dialogue, and I think that we can see some changes. And let's go ahead and get started. So the fact is that the Shire Free Church fits all the definitions legally of what a church is in the state of New Hampshire. There's no doubt about it. We've read the RSAs, and that's it. We're as much of a church as the Congregationalists are here. The Quakers, who have no building at all, we have no building. We meet weekly. We have services. We're a church. We're even looking at getting a building with a pointing roof. We've looked around the region, and we may very well do that. So at this point, we don't have it, but there are plenty of churches in town that don't have it either. The way that I came to the conclusion that the Shire Free Church, I created the Shire Free Church, me. I realized at some point that I go on the radio on a nightly basis and I preach a moral philosophy. 6 nights a week, I'm off 1 night a week. And that I'm the head of an organization that preaches a moral philosophy. I believe that this is the moral philosophy that was created into the fabric of this reality by its God. That, therefore, seemed to qualify me as a minister. It took me a while to come to this conclusion. I argued myself into it, not out of it. So, I just want folks to know where we came from in the beginning. So, if the city of Keene knows anything about the activists at this point, they know that they're dedicated. They know the activists are going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary. I don't think it'll get through that. The fact is the district court, Judge Burke has already recognized the Shire Free Church as an organization through which people can do community service hours. That gives us a strong legal leg to stand on. As stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, you need to consider the losses versus the gains. The $3,500 or so that the activists don't pay, there's $6,000 is what the property tax is. $2,500 we voluntarily given because we want leaf pickup, fire service. We believe in paying for the things that we use. I am morally opposed to a public school system. There's no doubt about it. You don't have to agree with me, you just have to understand that that's what I think. We have donated money to private schools here in town. We intend to continue doing such a thing. But that's our belief system, and that's why we want this parsonage. We intend to continue to give money the way we have. At this point, there's a difference of $3,500 on an annual basis that you guys aren't getting out of the property, off the tax rolls, as it were. But a court case could go into the high tens and low hundreds of thousands of dollars. It costs money for lawyers and stenographers and all these folks. And as stewards of the tax dollars, I think that that's something that you should take into strong consideration. We believe in a voluntary society where people can voluntarily associate. That means that it gives the city a whole new way of dealing with the activists if this parsonage is granted. It allows the city to say, you know what? We're not really interested in your chalk marks in Central Square. Here's your $2.37 a year that you contribute to Central Square. You can have it back. We don't want it. Why don't you keep your chalk marks off? And then according to our philosophy, it's not ours anymore. We don't have the ability to do that. Not that I chalk in Central Square, I haven't. I think it's silly. But that's me, right? So if you can, at this point, you really have an ability to use the activists' belief system in order to control behavior. And I think that that's a whole new way that the city can go about dealing with things. Thanks.
Ian and Daryl, you guys wishing to speak?
No.
Nope.
Any questions from the board?
Just a clarity thing,
Sure, Barry.
I've never heard of the Shire Free Church, and that doesn't mean that because I don't go to church that often. Are there others in the state? Are there others in the country?
There are others in the country, and do we have another minister inside the state? I think we have
Several.
several, besides
Okay.
us. In
We have
Manchester.
a few in Manchester.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Do you have IRS status for donors to declare, to be able to claim this tax deduction?
The IRS is pretty clear that you don't have to file with them to be a church. We don't want our donors to be exempt from IRS rules. As far as I'm concerned, I have no desire to have 501c3 status with the IRS. The state rules don't require us to file with the IRS. The IRS's rules don't require us to file with the IRS.
So if I make a donation to you of $5,000, I can't claim it?
That's correct.
Okay. Is that one of, oh, never mind.
We recommend you don't file the taxes.
It kind of defeats the purpose of the public good. You don't think? No?
Lots of public good is done. Are we talking about the public good of taxes, or are we talking about the public good of a church?
It's contrary to the most fundamental concept of law and the constitutional process.
Okay.
And I know you have issues with that.
Right. All we want to do is separate ourselves from that voluntarily, and the fact is that process won't let us separate. And we're using the legal rules as they exist to do just such a thing.
And the title of the property has been transferred to an LLC, I understand?
Nope.
Is that correct? No?
No. Shire Free Church Monadnock is
LLC.
that's not an LLC, that's a New Hampshire
Prior to
nonprofit.
the Holdings LLC, and then it was transferred into.
Into a New Hampshire nonprofit.
But I thought it said something about, Shire Free Church Holdings, LLC.
That's not the owner of the property.
It was transferred from you to Shire Free Holdings, and then after that, it was then transferred to the church, if I have that correct.
That's correct.
We were concerned with the status of the LLC and how that would be interpreted, so we changed it over to a New Hampshire nonprofit.
Do you have a copy of that?
Not on me.
Okay, just,
It should be
And
in your
consider
records
that would be a
there.
question.
I didn't see a copy of the deed.
It is Shire Free Church, Monadnock is the official
Okay.
owner at this point, no longer an LLC.
So it's just a typo?
They originally submitted 2 applications. One was sent back to us in January, and then I believe after it was transferred to the Monadnock Church. Then at that point, they submitted another application clarifying you should have both copies of the A9s
Yeah.
there. And that's why they had done that.
So if your organization dissolves, what happens to the assets?
Guess we would have to come up with some system.
That's addressed in the Articles of Agreement.
And where is
You
that
have-
Articles of Agreement?
It was attached to the questionnaire.
It's here somewhere. The page with the signatures is the Articles of Agreement? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, right.
I guess the answer is, I mean, obviously we'd sell the property. Same as the Methodists over here. They've got a church up. What do they do when they dissolve?
Well, I think there's a government process for that,
Selling things, and we get stamps.
if it's a nonprofit.
Cross that bridge when we come to it.
Well,
Well-
that's one of the tests, is if you meet that, if you have that dissolution agreement in your
It's in it.
articles.
Yeah, well, Mark, maybe you aren't familiar, or you don't recall, but the Articles of Agreement say that it'll transfer back to the Shire Free Church.
It says if the organization dissolves, its assets must be distributed for an exempt purpose to the federal government or to a state or local government for a public purpose, if you're a true nonprofit, or,
Why is the United Methodist Church not public property?
I don't know what their dissolution agreement has been. I
Okay.
have no idea.
I guess it's still owned by the United Methodists. then.
Perhaps it is.
So,
But
being
it should
a-
be addressed in your articles of agreement.
It,
and I-
it should be addressed there. I don't have it in front of me right now, but if I recall correctly, it'll go back to the Shire Free Church, the larger organization.
So right now, both sides, 73 and 75, are used for the church?
They're parsonages.
Okay, parsonage. And who lives there?
Ian does and Daryl does.
It's,
Just
it's
two
in
of
the
you?
questionnaire.
I read the questionnaire, but it was kind of, so nobody else lives there, just you and Daryl?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, what's that?
Is that okay?
Cynthia?
Just, we have a large audience today, so I'm going to read into record the city assessor, the assessing office's recommendation to the board. Shire Free Church Monadnock filed an application for real estate tax exemption under RSA 7223C, in which they request an exemption pursuant to RSA 7223 Roman numeral 3. The basis given by the applicant is that the property it owns, 7375 Leverett Street, is primarily used for ministers' parsonages. The applicant asserts that his religious organization is regularly recognized and they constitute denomination, creed, or sect. The Shire Free Church Monadnock is registered as a New Hampshire nonprofit corporation effective December 12, 2013. Their stated purpose, as set forth in the Articles of Agreement, is as follows. Primarily, this corporation will assist the ministers in their mission of fostering peace by facilitating interactions with the people calling themselves the state, regarding serving the community through positive action for charitable, educational, and religious purposes. This corporation is established to appease whatever arbitrary and nebulous dictates handed down by whichever monopolistic, violent governmental agency may turn its capricious attention towards the Shire Free Church, its people, and or any of its ministers, while we go about the good work of spreading the idea of human freedom and morality. Courts have ruled that simply registering with the Secretary of State of New Hampshire or being registered by the federal tax exemption under IRC 501c3 alone is not reason enough to grant a property tax exemption. Therefore, in an effort to gain a better understanding of the applicant and how the uses of its property relates to the claimed exempt purpose, the city requests additional information as provided for in RSA 7223C, Roman numeral 2. Ian Freeman has responded to the questions, a copy of which has been submitted to the board, which we have been going over in some detail today. The applicant defined its purpose as our mission, inspired by God, Allah, the universe, and the inner light, is to foster peace, freedom, and personal responsibility. In response to questions pertaining to the tax-exempt use of Leverett Street property, the applicant stated that sectarian activities were praying, meditation, singing, spiritual discussion, as inspired, where inspired. The secular activities at the property include eating, sleeping, as necessary, where appropriate. The applicant, in response to a question pertaining to a location on the property where religious ceremonies, services occur, stated, "We believe that wherever 2 or more church members are gathered for such purposes is our church." Further, the applicant reported that there were 5 members of church leadership, those being 5 members of the board of directors, but that anyone become a member of the church so long as the person signs the Shire Society Declaration and be of peace. It was also reported that an individual may become an ordained minister in the Shire Free Church by signing the Shire Society Declaration and becoming approved unanimously by the board members. A copy of the Shire Society Declaration has also been provided to the board for their information. RSA 7223M states, "The burden of demonstrating the applicability of any exemption shall be upon the claimant." New Canaan Academy versus the Town of Canaan also ruled that it's applicant's burden to prove it is entitled to tax exemption. Furthermore, in interpreting RSA 7223 Roman numeral 3, the New Hampshire Supreme Court has stated, "In construing religious exemption statute, we do not adopt a liberal attitude because it is a charity, nor a hostile attitude because it seeks exemption from taxation. This legislative intention is sought without regard to rules requiring strict or liberal construction for certain classes of legislation. We have previously held that the legislation in drafting RSA 7223 Roman numeral 3 intended to exempt land owned and occupied by religious associations as in part of or used directly in conjunction with buildings used principally for religious purposes." So the information submitted by the Shire Free Church, Monadnock, as reviewed by the City Assessor's Office, does not meet its burden of demonstrating the applicability of the request for property tax exemption in RSA 7223 Roman numeral 3 to the property located at 7375 Leonard Street. Therefore, it is the city's recommendation that the request for tax exemption be denied. Board has any other additional questions or discussion, or we can take a motion and
I think there's a big difference between form and substance, and I think that's our, that's going to provide the clarity. You know, maybe in form, but it may not be in substance. I mean, when they refer to activists, I think that flies in the face of your church status or your, I think a political stance is something that cannot be defined in that regard.
It's a moral stance, and the UU Church allows Democrats to meet there.
just for clarity, you had an opportunity to speak at this point, so at this point, we're just allowing the board to communicate for the public's benefit.
And, well, and just to address that, many churches allow meetings of various types throughout the city. But when you refer to yourself as activists, I mean, that's a clear-cut statement to myself. I'm not sure about the other board members, but there's an underlying meaning there, and I'm just putting that out there.
I make a motion that we deny the request.
I agree.
Barry makes a motion to deny,
I agree.
seconded by Mary. With the vote, Cynthia?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Marianne?
Yep.
Vote 3-0, the Board of Assessors votes to deny the application for exempt status for Shire Free Church, Monadnock. So, moving on in our meeting, Diane has passed out minutes from last meeting. Does the board have any questions about those minutes?